Michael, you're going to do invocation.
That's right.
I'm very nervous here with my notes. All right. Nope, that does not work. Okay. All right. Okay, welcome everyone. We have Amealya Blake here doing, is that the way to say it? Is it Amelia or, because in Kenya we would pronounce every vowel and add a W and an R somewhere, just because.
Yes, it's Amelia.
So we're welcoming Amealya Blake, who's going to talk to us today about a forgiving heart. Our practitioners in service are Michael, Patrick, and Wilkester. Hopefully James is looking for Patrick. I don't see Nancy, so I hope no one expects me to sing us into the I am opening, and she didn't tell me who's handling the singing. You really don't want me to do that. Okay. I think she thought she was going to be here for that. All right. So we're going to just have Michael open us, and then Karen will move into the meditation, and then we will find someone to sing. All right.
Okay, let's settle into that place where we know that there is only one God, one life, one awareness. And that's all there is, and absolutely nothing else. There is only one infinite power, one life, one divine loving intelligence that knows itself by the means of me and everyone in this Froggy Friday, everyone in this universe. I see the divine expression of this one power making itself known by means of everyone who's attended this Froggy Friday and everyone in this universe. We know it, we embrace it, we express it. And through this Froggy Friday, we awaken to the infinite possibilities which are opening before us. We claim our divine inheritance this day. We say yes to the renewing power that's moving in and us and by means of each and every one of us here and now. We say yes to greater life. We say yes to full expression of this divine infinite power through our lives and in our lives. We allow ourselves to be the perfect expression of spirit and to be what spirit has in mind and express the boundless, limitless possibilities by means of our life. And from this point forward, our lives have changed at depth. Our thoughts are clear, we are energized, we are orderly, and we open our hearts and minds to the irrevocable truth that through this Froggy Friday, it's divine expression, and our lives are divine in purpose and divine in direction. So I joyfully give loving thanks for the presence within this Froggy Friday. I'm grateful for Spirit's warm embrace. I'm grateful for this and so much more. It is done, perfect, whole, and complete. I let it go, and together we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
And in that restful state right here and right now, we have embodied that which Michael has said, that there is oneness, that we each are the face of God. And in that knowing that God within is the very substance of our beings, We know that we have that natural creativity, the natural warmth and love, and of course, openness. For we open our hearts right here to a new understanding of forgiveness. And we breathe forgiveness. And if we have a thought, we bless it and let it pass through. And remember, we breathe forgiveness. Forgiveness with the open heart. And as we have a new thought, we bless it and allow it to pass through. As we deepen, we move from thought patterns into that deep sense of belonging, of universality. For we are present right here, right now. In this moment, we have anchored ourselves very deeply into that very knowing of wholeness and oneness. With an open heart, we're ready to receive, and so it is.
And so it is.
Wayuramo, you're here. Wayuramo, I saw that. Are you ready to sing One People? Okay, Nancy, I'll try that word. No, okay. I have no idea who's singing. Wilkester, you're here.
You want me to sing, Michelle?
Yes.
We might have to take a vote on that, Paul. Although, how nice of you to offer. You can maybe do a little backup for Wilkester. Wilkester, can you sing it? If not, we're going with Paul.
Okay, we go. We are one people, one strong heartbeat,
Heartbeat,
just one
spirit shining bright within us all.
We are part
We're
of one
part of one
another,
another,
born to love
born
each
to love each
other. When
other.
it's
When
all
it's all
said and
said and
done,
done,
we
we
are
are
one.
one.
When it's all said and
Said and
done,
done,
we are
we are one.
one.
Paul, if you want to, you can do a verse by yourself. I'm in charge today. We're open to anything.
We are one people,
People,
one
one
strong,
strong
Heartbeat,
heartbeat,
one
just
just
one
one
spirit,
spirit shining bright
bright.
within us all.
Louder,
We
Paul.
are
We're
part of
part
one
one
another,
another,
are born
born
to
to
love
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 each
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 other.
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 When it's
When it's
all
all
said
said
and
and
Said and
done, we
done,
are
we
we are
are
one.
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 Take it away.
We are
Beautiful.
one people, one strong
Strong
heartbeat,
heartbeat, just
just one
one
spirit
spirit
shining
shining.
bright within us all. We are part of one
One
another,
another, born to love
born
each
to love each
other.
other. When it's all said
All
and
said and
done,
done,
You're
we are
one.
one.
Okay, all right, everybody got a
Beautiful.
chance today. All right. Paul, you're on the recording. All right, so we're not doing the offertory affirmations. This is Amelia, and she did our heart workshop, and she was also at the conference in 2024. So we're so excited. Oh, Duke's there. Hey, Duke. You're not in Casey. All right. Thank you so much, Amelia. We're so excited to have you here today.
I am so excited to be back in community with all of you beautiful hearts. Today, our topic, as we mentioned, is called a forgiving heart. So at the beginning, I asked you guys just to reflect on the word forgiveness, forgive, forgiving in any of its variation, and just think about what comes up for you when you hear that term. I'm going to share some heart practices around forgiveness. I'm going to share a bit of story on one of my greatest forgiveness work. And then we'll end with an ancient Hawaiian practice called Ho'oponopono, which is a forgiveness practice that I love to do for myself and love to share. So first, I'm going to just invite a few of you just to share what came up when you think of the word forgive, forgiveness, forgiving, any of the variation. Would someone like to start us off?
Okay, what came to my mind is amending relationships. Amending relationships.
Okay, wonderful. Mending relationships. Thank you, Paul. Anyone else like to?
For
Yes, like
one
say
thing that came
something.
into
Let's start with Chris.
thank you. For me, one thing that came into my mind is a sense of separation.
Okay, very good, Chris. A sense of separation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so what came into my mind is peace, letting go, lightness, you know. Yes.
awesome. Anyone else like to share what came up? Thank you, Nancy. James, I think you're speaking, but it sounded a little far away.
I'm trying to come closer. Yeah.
Oh,
What I'm
perfect.
saying is that, yeah, when I talk of forgiveness, what comes to my mind is the reunion. I'm reuniting with that which was apart. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, James. Anyone else like to share? Christine?
Forgiveness is a spiritual practice that it is a spiritual practice that allow us to live from a place of love rather than fear and anger.
Perfect. Thank you, Christine. Tendai.
One thing that comes to me when I hear the word forgive, forgiving, is that God, and whatever you want to call that spirit, that energy, doesn't forgive. And that's a way of releasing anything that keeps us from the divine.
Okay. Thank you, Tendai. Anyone else want to share what came up for them when they heard that term?
So I think Duke is with James.
Mm-hmm.
So James, you're still unmuted, so whoops, we have to have you louder.
Forgiveness is to let go of anger.
It's still a little
No.
far away.
Yeah, we're not getting it, Duke.
Oh, perfect. Go ahead.
It is forgiveness is resentment and anger.
Yep.
which
All right,
is
Duke, why don't you have James tell us? His voice seems to carry, so have James translate for you. What did he say, James?
I'm saying
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No,
it's not coming through.
it's cutting out.
Okay, now let me bring my voice there. Are you getting me now?
Yes.
Yes, it's saying that,
Yours is
okay, it is
perfect.
the release of it is the release of resentment and anger.
Beautiful, Duke. Duke,
Yeah.
we couldn't hear we couldn't hear you, but you perfectly captured the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of forgiveness, to give up resentment. That's the official definition of forgiveness, and it incorporates a lot of what you all share: letting go, releasing a sense of separation, reuniting with that which is apart, um, connecting with that divine. Did anyone else want to share anything? Karen, were you going to offer something?
I have to laugh because we have such a spiritually kind and loving community. But I said, oh my God, no way. Face passed in front of me. I went, oh, I have work to do. So forgiveness sometimes feels like work.
Mhm.
It feels like
Absolutely.
a decision, and I have to be willing to be willing. And when that face passed in front of me, I went, maybe not. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you, Karen, for highlighting the fact that while forgiveness is a goal that we all aspire to live in, it is not always an easy process. Ultimately, when you're in this spiritual community, you come to understand that is actually the deepest work that you have to do is our forgiveness work. Forgiveness for our experiences, our patterns, our belief, all that keeps us separate from that connection and that unity with that one divine source, that one divine presence. I spoke about the title, A Forgiving Heart. And when we're actually standing or sitting in resentment or anger or frustration, it actually keeps our body in a state of incoherence, meaning where our heart rate is jagged, our body is not flowing as well as it can. A little bit about my background. I've been a nurse for over 22 years. I am a certified meditation coach and a certified heart math facilitator. Now, I had shared with many of you who were on our experience of our heart math training. Heart math is a resiliency-based system of tools that helps us to get coherent within our body. And when we actually get coherent within our body, it allows us to lower our blood pressure, decrease our stress level, connect with our heart space, and allow us to tap into our intuition, our inner guidance, our inner resource system. So I'm going to share with us as we continue this dialogue, because I'm going to touch on a topic that might um, definitely is triggering for me because it's been my life experience. And so I'm going to provide this tool as a way for us to, if something comes up in our dialogue that feels uncomfortable, this is a quick tool to help you get back into that space of feeling at ease, feeling calm. And so I'm going to share my screen and let me know when you guys can see.
Is it letting you? Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. And so you see the slide that says quick coherence?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So quick coherence is one of the techniques from HeartMath, and I'm going to just guide us through this practice in this moment. So I want you to focus your attention in the area of your heart. And as you focus your attention on the area of your heart, you're just going to imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart space or chest area. And I'm going to invite you to breathe a little bit slower and deeper than normal. So breathe in and out, focusing your attention on your chest area. You can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. But the goal is just focusing your attention, picturing that you're breathing in and out through your heart space. Breathing a little bit slower and deeper than normal. As you continue to connect with that heart center, I'm going to invite you to make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative emotion, such as appreciation, care for someone or something in your life. You can try to imagine the feeling of connecting with that loved one, a pet, a special place, an accomplishment, just a regenerative emotion. I like to focus on the feeling of gratitude, feeling gratitude for the breeze that's blowing across my face, or the beautiful sunrise that I got to see this morning, or a beautiful sunset. Just the goal of focusing on a regenerative emotion. Now I'm going to invite you to take that a step further and radiate that emotion throughout your body, allowing yourself to just feel into that emotion. And now radiate that emotion outwards to everyone on this call, everyone in your home environment. Thinking of the gratitude of you all coming to connect with each other tomorrow in your special place. And just connect with that feeling. All right. Would anyone like to share what came up for them in that practice? How did that feel? Were you able to feel connected to your heart space? Are you guys still in the energy of that feeling? Tendai?
Unbeknownst to me, it relaxed me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think, like for a few seconds, I was like, not sleep, but just so relaxed that I hadn't expected it. So, but I know the value of breathing, and certainly to focus on the heart has a way. If your body is relaxed and you feel that relaxed, then it's doing something good.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly. You're welcome. Just that feeling of bringing coherence back into your entire body. Chris or Karen, I see you're both off mute if you wanted to share.
I felt
Go ahead, Chris.
kind of warmth just wash throughout my body, just a warm feeling and goodness.
Wonderful. Go ahead, Karen.
It's like that feeling of moving back into innocence before the hurt.
Absolutely.
So you can go back to before and since the hurt itself is bringing the past into the present, you might as well bring a good past into the present. You have that choice.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. Anyone else? All right. So, Karen, you actually touched on an aspect of the story that I wanted to share. And so, one of the hardest thing or journey that I had with forgiveness was around the loss of my dad. 16 years ago, this weekend, in 2009, I got a call that my dad was missing. This was in Jamaica, where I was born and where my dad lived and where we grew up. Ultimately, we came to find out that he was kidnapped and ultimately murdered. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. Oftentimes, it's not until a person is no longer around or an active presence in your life that you really understand the impact that they had on your life. My dad and I was very close. I grew up living with my dad until my mom's family migrated here to the United States, and I left Jamaica, but I would often go back. My dad was a prominent figure in Jamaica, and whenever I go back, it was to go back to this welcoming experience. My dad also worked in immigration, so oftentimes he was back and forth to the United States. So we had a very close relationship, and even though we lived apart, we still saw each other very frequently. My dad was this bright light, the person who, in the midst of any gathering, was the voice that you heard the loudest. He brought joy and humor and just lots of stories that made you laugh from the bottom of your toes all the way to the top of your head. He believed in me so much that I didn't realize what his belief in me and the strength it actually provided for me, in the sense that it made me feel like I can do and accomplish anything. And with every graduation, he was there. With every moments of celebration, he was there cheering me on. And so this was the presence that he brought, not just to my life experience, but to the experience of our family. Of the 8 kids that my grandmother had, he was one of the ones that was her primary caretaker and just the person that everyone in the family kind of ran to for advice, for guidance. And so he was a strong presence in everyone's life. So when he was taken, and in the way that he was taken, there was so much anger, resentment, pain of loss. That experience was actually the experience that became a catalyst for me on the journey that I am now. It was the catalyst that pushed me to seek meditation as a form of trying to understand why things happen in our life, how things happen in our life, and how to actually move through the experiences that happen in our life. That journey led me to meditation, where ultimately I became a meditation coach. It led me to the Agape Center, which is a center that also teaches science of mind principles, and ultimately led me to Oakland and the community that I belong to here called Heart and Soul Center of Light, which is another spiritual community under Centers for Spiritual Living, and also ultimately led me to the program of Heart Math. And so the work that all of these things had in common, Heart Math, Centers for Spiritual Living, meditation, was the practice of letting go, the practice of forgiveness, the practice of freeing our heart from the I guess imprisonment is a good word, that when we are standing in anger and fear and frustration and resentment, all of those negative emotions, it's keeping us out of a place of connecting with our heart and actually allowing the greatest gift that we can give our experience, which is the light of us to shine through. Over time, I work through that forgiveness practice, and then allow myself to focus on the legacy that my dad instilled. The legacy of joy, of pride, of love, of belief in each of us, in each of his kids. So I'm the oldest of 7. 6 of that is with my dad. So my dad has 6 kids. And so the legacy that he left was each of us and the light that we continue to bring to the world and to our experience. I'm going to pause there because that was a lot. So does anyone want to share what was coming up for them in that um, sharing of my story? And then I'll move on to a practice that we can do together. Michelle, would you like to speak to what was coming up for you?
Oh. I've been working through the forgiveness process for a few months here. And I will say that this is the first maybe that I've been able to get to in this situation. Like Karen said, the face came up and it was like, oh, heck no. It didn't happen for me like that, but this, I haven't been able and willing to move into forgiveness. So I can see what you're saying. I hear it, and I know it's true, and it feels like it's time.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. And just acknowledging it's a process, right? It's a process. We can know the teachings, know the practices, and still we have to do the work to move into the space of willingness that both you, word that you use, Michelle and Karen, that willingness to allow ourselves to move past that. And sometimes we can think of the face of the person or the thing or the experience. And then there are other times when we come to accept that really some of that work is our own inner forgiveness of ourselves. Why did I let myself go through that? Why did I let myself have that experience? Why did I? So many of that can come up. And so when we think of forgiveness, just that reminder that it's an ever ongoing journey, it's an ever ongoing evolution as we evolved within ourselves, then our work becomes a bit easier in allowing ourselves to let go. And it's an ongoing practice. Anyone else want to share before I move into forgiveness practice that we can do together for ourselves and for whatever person that came to mind? Tendai?
Yeah, thank you, Amelia, for sharing that. It sounded like a lot when I was listening to it, and I truly understood it. And what each of us has shared. One of the things that I keep in my mind, because just like you said, and sometimes I'm not willing and to forgive someone for something. And at this point, this time, there's someone I know it would benefit me to forgive. But the forgiveness, I think sometimes we don't want to do it because, at least I should say, I don't want to do it because you get caught up and you think it's the same as condoning.
Mm-hmm.
And forgiveness is not the same as condoning. It's like many of us have said and what you've shared, that's what it is. And what we get caught up in is what it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hang on to things which impacts our own bodies, because the impact of unforgiveness is our bodies, like you said, through the heart and other parts of our body, stress and everything else. So it definitely is an ongoing thing, and there's someone I could be working on right now, and I am working on it, but I'm not there yet. Yeah, thank you.
Understood, understood. And you can only get there at your own pace, right? One of the visual, as you were speaking, Tendai, one of the visuals that came up for me was um the idea of holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, when in reality, right, we're the one taking it, so it's punishing us, punishing our bodies in the form of stress, high blood pressure, um, blockages within our hearts, and all that leads to. Again, I've been a nurse for 20 something years, so I've seen the range that it can lead to and create in the body. And my work for myself and for the people who come into my experience is just to share and encourage the healing of our own self, right? Doing our own inner work, because only we can do that for ourselves. Um, I think I had heard somebody started to speak. I'm not sure who that was. Did anyone else want to share?
It's me.
Oh, wonderful.
I want to contribute just a minute. I want to contribute to the fact that forgiveness is self-empowerment to do thrust yourself faster forward in positivity when you are free from negativities or fear, of anger, or blame. So basically, it's like discarding burdens which slow you down and which will drag you backwards.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
So Amelia,
Self-
I had another idea too, because it was a revelation just now that in the unforgivingness that I was holding this person, I
Mhm.
was using anger in place of grief
Mhm.
because I didn't want to do the grief.
Yes.
So it was so much easier to move into anger because it's their fault then.
Yep, Karen, you hit it nail on the head. When we often there's so many emotions that we use to block the deeper emotion that's under something, anger and rage, and it's easier to go through those emotions than actually maybe dealing with the hurt that we may feel, the grief that we may feel, sometimes the shame that we may feel around something. And again, all of that is inward. It's us looking at ourselves and actually doing the work to release ourselves. And it's easier, right, just to have an external person or thing. James, did you want to say something? I see you're off mute.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to say something which has just come to my mind as people are contributing, that forgiveness, now you make me see forgiveness the
James, you need to lean close.
yeah, I'm saying that, okay, I'm starting to see through Amelia's presentation that forgiveness is the only way by which we are shot to the next stage, because we are held by our unforgivingness, our anger, and all that until we forgive. That is the only time we move to the next stage. So forgiveness is the catapult to the next stage. That is what I'm getting. Thank you.
Wonderful, James. Absolutely. It gets to more of your heart opening, right? When you stand in forgiveness or you do the work around forgiveness, whatever that thing is. And remember, it's ongoing. So it's not like this one thing I forgive and then I'm good for the rest of my life. Each day, things are going to come up that you're having to let go. And as you continue to do that practice, it's like you have a mirror that's like smudged, and each day you're getting the mirror a little bit clearer. That's what you're doing with your heart. Your heart has been filled with all these experiences through this life, through the lives that may have come before. And with each act of forgiveness, you're actually opening up your heart space a little bit more so that the fullness of life can fully flow through you. I'm going to move us into this next practice. And then as things are coming up, you can feel free to share as we go through this practice. But for now, this is the ancient Hawaiian practice that I mentioned, and it's called the Ho'oponopono practice. And so right now in this moment, several of you had images that came to mind. You can choose to work with that image. If that feels too big right now, you can start with something smaller that you can apply some forgiveness around. So I want you to bring an image, an experience, something to mind that you want to apply this practice through. So give it a couple of seconds. Bring to mind an image, a thing, an experience, something that we can use to do this practice on. Now, as you hold that image in mind, again, connecting with your heart center, and picture that you're breathing in and out through your heart space, I want you to say to that image, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And we're going to do that sequence one more time, focusing on that image in mind and heart, and say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. Now I want you to release that image. And now I want you to bring the image of yourself to mind. And this can be an image of yourself from any part of your journey. Could be the image that you see on the screen today, or it could be your childhood self, your teenage self, your 20-year-old self, anywhere along that spectrum of where you are, and bring that image of yourself in mind. And again, we're picturing that we're breathing in and out through our heart space. And as we hold that beautiful image of yourself in mind, I want you to say to yourself, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. We're going to repeat that sequence one more time, holding that beautiful image of yourself in mind, and say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Forgiveness work is an ongoing practice. And I invite you, as you're going through your experience, to keep in mind that when you're standing in lack of forgiveness, you're allowing your heart to close. And when you allow yourself to willingly move into a state of forgiveness, you're allowing your heart to expand open and be more coherent with that divine self that is expressing as you. Would anyone like to share anything before we turn it back over to you, Michelle?
I do have,
Okay.
go ahead. Wilkester, go for it.
Through the, I call it a symbol exercise, I've just loved it. I found myself speaking to myself, I forgive all the Wilkista in me, the Wilkista who never used to forgive and let go. So I said, thank you. So as I did it repeatedly, I found myself like moving to that olderness, like moving from the past moment to the present moment, but not fully accepted. And I believe with the time, I'm going to be fully immersed into this symbol practice that will allow me to forgive and let go, like to forgive and forget.
Beautiful, Wilkester. Thank you so much for sharing that. I sent an attachment. Michelle, you may be able to download it, or anyone is actually able to download it onto whatever device that you have. And it's the quick coherence practice that we went through, as well as the Hawaiian practice that's included in that PDF. If you click onto it, it will open onto your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever device that you are using. So it's in the chat for you if you need reminders on what the steps were.
My question is, we're looking to create different mini libraries at different places where we have people who are studying. And I think a book on forgiveness would be excellent in that mini library. So are there a couple of titles that you recommend for us?
The Four Agreements is actually one of my favorite books around that topic. I love The Four Agreements by
Don Miguel. Yeah.
Right, Don Miguel. And let me just reflect on that, and then I'll put some topics in the Froggy Friday. Some
Okay.
topics of books and authors.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Anything else anyone wanted to share? Chris and James, I see you're off mute. Did you want to share something?
It is sunset or that forgiveness opening my heart space so that the fullness of life may flow through, and it just makes what the beautiful thing when we're not forgiving. There is this constriction of the heart space or of our life, and this hinders a lot of blessings from flowing through in our lives because we are consumed by forgiveness, thinking about not forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. We think this thing we did to ourselves, we did to us, and the more we think of it, the more we go on and round in circles. And I mean, these are a sort of constriction. Yet, if we forgive, it's kind of frees the heart space, moves this going round and round, and the blockages and this expanded space through which you.
Very good, Chris. I think he just fell off.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that for me, forgiveness was something that had profound results for me. That for many years, I held resentment towards one boss who I thought who had really treated me unfairly in the course of my journey. And when I did the work, it went just beyond releasing the resentment. It went to me seeing the perfection that was in that arrangement. After the whatever we had, the tiff we had with the boss, it sort of moved my career in a certain direction, which I wouldn't give anything to ever go back to that space I was in. But I couldn't see the perfection that was in that space. As much as it felt very unfair. It felt very painful. I was really angry at that person. But when I did the work with the help of a practitioner, I realized that I was able to mine the blessing that was in that arrangement, and accepting that as something that was beautiful and within the perfection of my life was one of the greatest things that I really, it still remains a big lesson for me in terms of forgiveness, that there is, and we may not always see it, especially when we're in the anger space. We may not see the blessing within that space, but when we forgive and we let go, it opens our eyes to see, oh, that's what it was. That's how they were there to serve me. So there are lessons that sometimes are not very pleasant, but they are valuable in our lives. And only forgiveness helps us to see them and appreciate those.
Beautiful, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, there's definitely blessings, even when we can't see it in the moment, but continuing to do the practice will allow the blessing to come through what it was afterwards. And Chris, I know you dropped off a couple of times, and I just want to acknowledge that I definitely heard just around when we're not forgiving, we're keeping ourselves constricted. And then when we are forgiving, we're allowing ourselves to open up. So thank you for your share as well.
James, you're back. Did you have something you wanted to share, or Duke? And they're gone again.
Okay.
I think it's very interesting because we're doing a class on relationships, and Karen said partway through on Tuesday, well, we need to be doing forgiveness here. Like, stop and forgive ourselves, right? So this is very interesting that it's coming up.
Right on time. Karen, you called it forth. I love it. Well, it was an honor being with you guys again. And oh, the good news that I wanted to share is that in August of this year, the last week in August, I will be in Kenya. And it would be an honor to actually connect with you guys. So I'll share more as I get closer to that time and that date. But I would love to see all you beautiful CSL Kenya folks when I'm in Kenya in August.
So Paul, maybe that's a reason to have a meetup. Put that on the calendar.
Sure.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. The announcements are that you guys need to go to the meetup. Whoop.
I
Tomorrow.
think welcome to Kenya in August.
Oh, Chatunga's saying welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Go to the meetup tomorrow. Barb has filled it full. So you guys are going to have a great time. And Then let me see. Let me just make sure I'm queued up. Yep. All right. So just so you know, CSL Kenya is all based upon offerings, donations. And we're so thrilled and excited because our Kenyan community is donating significantly on a monthly basis. So that is totally appreciated and such a celebration. So I'm going to read the affirmations, and then you guys can unmute and repeat after me. All right. So we're ready. I am filled with the energy of abundance.
I'm filled with energy.
Of abundance.
I am willing to share my financial good with my spiritual community.
I
I'm
I am
willing
willing to share my financial good with my spiritual community.
Community. Okay. Let's see, what does this slide say? I think that's a different Froggy. Okay, good. So, I have down here now that does anybody want prayer? And then after that, we will have Wilkester do the benediction. Anybody want a 2-minute miracle? I think we did it all with Amealya. Amealya. There we go. Okay. All right, Wilkester, please benedict us out.
Okay, join me as I speak the gratitude. The one expression of life is individualized as my life and as to the life of each of us in this present moment. It's through this expression that we live, move, and have our being. In this moment of sharing, learning, laughing, I express my gratitude of love, joy, peace. I'm so grateful for the platform that has allowed us to be together, for the gadgets, for the students, for the teachers, and even for our hearts to be open to receive. Grateful for this Froggy Friday that has brought us together to share the love, the light, the wisdom, the intelligence. And grateful for the unfoldings in our lives, for the new beginnings, for the joy, for the families, even the traveling, for the safe travels for Reverend Barb. Grateful for Amealya to take us through. I raise my words to the low minds, the lot of joy, knowing that it's done. And together we say, and so
it is.
Oh,
And
it is. Oh, it is.
So it is.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Good to see you guys again.